Tournaments are back in 2 days, so I want to make sure that you guys are up to speed with everything that's been going on in EU. Of course, the main piece of news is that Mongraal has officially split with Mikson. Will he be playing with MrSavage in the future? Let's get straight into it. So Mongraal is officially without a duo. He split with Mikson on Wednesday. It seems like the reason for that was because Mikson didn't want to IGL anymore. There's been some rumours about that. I had to say, I did think these guys had some good potential. In terms of the options that Mongraal can get, I feel like Mikson is one of the best ones. He was a Globals qualifier, he's a very capable player, and I feel like for where Mongraal is right now, Mikson was a very nice fit for him. What I would say though is Mongraal's trajectory is very much on the up. If you look at his improvements from 2024 to now, you can see that he's a completely different player. So he's only going to be able to access better teammates as he keeps improving. So perhaps him splitting with Mikson isn't the disaster that it may seem to be. At the end of the day, I thought these guys looked good on paper, and I did believe that they'd managed to qualify to some grand finals together, but the results weren't really there. So you can't be too disheartened about them splitting if you're a Mongraal fan. I do think he'll be able to find other options. Could one of them be MrSavage? Well, that remains to be seen. Bloodx, who coaches Mongraal, had some words to say about that.
Bro, like, everyone's so deluded about Mongraal and Savage. Like, okay, listen, guys. Oh, Savage is not gonna like this, bro. Like, everyone's so deluded about Savage's past. Like, right now, Savage is not good, guys, because he doesn't play the game. He needs to grind like everyone else, bro. He needs to stop, like, creating this narrative about Mongraal and Savage. If they were to play like the Savage is like the carry, and like it takes two to dance, whatever, what is it, tango, or what's the saying? Mongraal's not like he was last time, you know. He's not like that. I wouldn't want to play with someone if all the positives went towards one guy and all the negatives went to the other guy, because that's not the case. Sure, it was like that in 2024 when Mongraal was trash, but Mongraal's not trash now. You could put him with any IGL with Foundation and they'll make rounds every single time.
I thought these points were quite interesting. Bloodx kind of refuting the narrative that Savage is miles better than Mongraal and that Mongraal would be almost lucky to play with Savage. He said that Mongraal is the one that's been working hard while Savage hasn't been working as hard in his eyes. That's definitely an interesting point. I do feel like the narrative of Savage is good, Mongraal is bad is very lazy and isn't really true at all. With that being said, Savage is still a better player than Mongraal, and I do think Savage could attract better duo options potentially, guys like Opal, like Pink, whereas I do still think Mongraal is in the tier below. However, Savage obviously is someone that is focused on content, is focused on entertainment, so this duo would make a lot of sense if it did happen. I do think that a duo of Mongraal and Savage could genuinely work. They obviously look great playing trios together with Panzer back in Chapter 6 Season 1, and since then Mongraal has improved massively, so yeah, I think this could be good. But listen, it remains to be seen as to whether this is going to happen. Obviously, we don't even have FNCS until April, so there's really no rush for teams to get together. Yeah, I do think it could be a while before we get news on this. Obviously, Mongraal will also be looking for a teammate for the Esports World Cup, as Savage is playing with Veno. So maybe if he gets a teammate for the Esports World Cup, then that could also end up being his Battle Royale teammate too. We'll have to see how it all plays out. I do think the permutations from the split with Mikson are quite interesting. I did theorise on Twitter that he may even take on the IGL role himself. He's spoken in the last few months that that's something he'd like to do, to continue his training as a leader, and maybe that's something that he wants to continue, and he picks up a young, exciting, good fragger, a good fighter. We could see if that happens. Maybe the opposite happens and he looks to play with an IGL, someone who is quite a similar profile to Mikson. There's definitely not a shortage of players that fit that title. But listen, I think the thing to take away here is that Mongraal's stocks are very high at the moment. He's getting a lot of respect in the community. It feels like people are waking up to how good a player he actually is, how much he's improved over the last year. And I don't think he's going to have any trouble finding a duo option. Whether that does end up being MrSavage, we'll have to wait and see. As I've already mentioned, I do think that team could work well, but there are going to be a whole host of other options for Mongraal, and I think he'd be silly if he didn't try out some other names first. If we do get any news about who Mongraal and Savage are going to be playing with, then of course this will be the place to hear about it. I do these kind of videos every few days, so make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any EU news. Right, into the next topic, which is the Rax 1v1 tournament. This involved 32 of EU's best fighters, and the winner ended up being Shxrk. Who would have guessed it? Shxrk, obviously one of the top prospects on the EU. I mean, it almost feels disrespectful to label him as a prospect because I feel like he goes so far beyond that. He is just one of the best players in the EU at this point. Yep, you can tell me he hasn't got any good placements in Grands. I don't care. He is still one of the best players in the EU, and if you can't see that, then I don't think you understand Fortnite competitive. This will be the year that he gets at least a top 3 in FNCS. I do genuinely think him and Teeny are contenders to win. They are at that level. Yeah, Shxrk had an insane run in this tournament, knocking out Chino and Pixie. I mean, those guys are literally considered to be maybe the 2 best fighters in the region, so the fact that Shxrk's knocked them out is insane. He then beat Rax in the final 10-3. Rax, again, someone who I've spoken about in my recent video as one of the top prospects, one of the top fighters in the EU, and now he's obviously playing with Queasy. So beating him 10-3 is no easy task. It just shows what level Shxrk is at. Yeah, I'm almost out of words to describe how good Shxrk is at this point. And 2026 will be the year that Shxrk establishes himself as a tier 1 pro. I already think he is a tier 1 pro. I know a lot of others do too. But this will be the year that everyone realizes how good he is. This was a great tournament though. There's so many good fighters in the EU, and it was so cool to see them all get together. I watched the final with Shxrk against Rax, and that was a great spectacle. Shout out to Rax, by the way. I know I did just mention him in the video, but he also beat Marius and Mumsy on his way to the final. A great achievement by him. It's great to see the 2 young fighters doing well. Obviously Shxrk and Rax are both only 14. The future of EU is looking very bright. We also had another creative tournament. Yesterday Leo the Crack put on a 3v3 Realistics Cup, which again I couldn't watch much of due to work commitments, which is frustrating, but it did look like a great cup. Again, I did rewatch the final match. That ended up being won by Della, Rinzy and Snox, so credit to them. They did end up winning the whole tournament. It's not been the busiest few days in the EU, but I do still want to go over which players are looking for teammates and which players have joined new orgs. Setty is still looking for a duo. I have mentioned in previous videos that I do feel like Rax dropping Setty was quite harsh. Yes, you could argue that Rax and Queasy is an upgrade on Rax's part, but Setty is such a top pro. I mean, he literally came 3rd at Globals. He was brilliant in the second half of 2025, and to now be left without a duo option feels very harsh. I'm sure he'll have no shortage of players wanting to play with him though. As of right now, I don't have anything to tell you as to who it could be. I don't want to speculate too much, but there's a lot of top fighters in the Polish scene that I think would be very, very lucky to play with Setty. I'm just editing the video and I've realised that I somehow forgot to mention my obvious pick for Setty's duo, which is Franek. Franek is an up-and-coming young fighter, a very good Polish pro, someone who had a good 2025 with Giras and Dinas. I feel like he'd work super well with Setty because obviously Setty is a leader-style player. There'd be a good dynamic there. I'm sure there'd be good chemistry too. That's my pick. I don't know why I forgot to mention that in the video. On with the rest of it. Lucia's also looking for a duo as well. He's a player that I do rate quite highly. There's a lot of good CIS options in the scene right now, so I don't think he'll have any trouble finding a duo either. Right, so now let's get into organisation news. If you've not been following competitive for the last few weeks, we've obviously had the Reload Elite Series announced, which is part of the Esports World Cup. There'll be an official LAN event in August. So because of that, organisations are now investing heavily in competitive Fortnite, as if their players do well in that Reload LAN, they'll be able to contribute to the overall leaderboard at that tournament across all the games that are featured there, which of course allows access to the overall prize pool. So basically, orgs are investing heavily because they can get money from it, and this is good for the players because they'll get good contracts. Seems like a win-win. Anyway, that means there's been a lot of player movement with regards to orgs, one of the biggest ones being that Panzer has officially left Glore. I do wonder whether Panzer may be signing for a bigger org. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Mumsy has also left Solari. He could be a nice option for an org like a Vitality, obviously a French org who are heavily rumoured to be joining the Fortnite scene once again. Trippin has officially left Man City Esports. Whether he'll find a new org, we'll have to wait and see. Hutty and Palochka have joined the One, and Rakazan has joined Now Esport. I can't stress enough that this is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to org announcements. We have potentially got teams like FaZe coming back into Fortnite, like Vitality, who are heavily rumoured to be signing Swizzy, even T1, the Korean org, who are heavily linked with Dom and Demus. There's a lot of rumours flying around right now. A lot of big moves being made, and in the next few days I think we're going to see some seriously big announcements. Just before I end the video, I do want to make a point that's a continuation from my previous video. I spoke about the Esports World Cup and how only one team per org could count to the overall leaderboard. And I did mention that I wasn't sure if teams would have to nominate one duo. So for example, XSET might have nominated Clix and Higgs and not Savage and Veno. I did think that this wouldn't be the case, and yes, this isn't the case. Teams don't have to nominate. It would just be the highest placing team from an org that gets the points. So let's say Savage and Veno outplaced Clix and Higgs, they would be the XSET representatives instead of Clix and Higgs. In terms of EU news, I feel like this is the calm before the storm. I think a lot of big stuff is going to break over the next few days. We've got the Havoc announcement, teams are going to get announced, we're going to have huge player signings. So please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of that news. Thank you very much for watching the video. See you in the next one.